Hello sweet friends, this is Gina. Welcome to the Rebookery channel. Today I'm going to show you guys 6 new journals that I'm going to put in my shop on Sunday, July 15th at 9 a.m. Central Time, Kansas City, Missouri, USA. These 6 journals are a mix. I've got 2 homebodies, 2 inside out journals with a new quilt, like an old new quilt. I mean a new old quilt, and then 2 of my little fabric storybooks. So let me show you the insides of the 6. So for these homebodies, they're a little bit smaller than some of the other homebodies I've done. These guys measure about, let's go, about 9.5 by about 6.5, almost 7. So this one is slightly narrower than this one right here. So this one has 4 signatures and then this one has 5, but then this one is a little bit larger than this one right here. So, all right. So for this one, this was a kind of a fun one because I did some really weird things in this. So you can see it has 5 signatures. The color is kind of these peaches and pinks. There's some glitter. I don't know if you guys can see the glitter or the shimmer that I've got on here. And then a really pretty button. This is a moon. Found this in my button stash and I thought it would just kind of, I don't know why. There's no space theme going on here. I just really liked that button. Some pom-pom trim. And then on the inside, I have left, because this is a smaller journal, I have left this back panel open for you to put in whatever you want. And then on the front panel, I have a little book plate that's a Bambi book plate. And then I've sewed it to some needlework cloth and then just taken a wooden button and then it's connected to the button on the front. So it's the same homebodies setup that I've had. So pocket, free motion stitching, pocket here. Now the pages that I used for the homebodies book for this one, they are crazy. They are crochet dolls. So, which is just a very odd thing. I don't know if you know this or not. I don't think I've done any journal spreads or journal with me on this, but I used to collect dolls like back when I was 16, 17, 18, 19, up into my 20s. I used to collect dolls, not crochet dolls, but porcelain dolls. Anyway, that's a whole other story. We'll talk about that some other time. But so this homebodies craft, I pulled into doll collecting, crochet, anything that had to do with yarn, and just thought this was kind of fun. So some crochet paper, some crochet instructions, scrapbook paper, some transfer, like these were some transfer designs, embroidery, garden, Hello Kitty stationery, some more of the crochet dolls with an envelope that folds out, some nice heavy scrapbook that's double-sided with a sewn-in fabric pocket, another pocket, and then this back here is a little bag. So that's the first signature. The rest kind of follow the same theme. So here's what I mean by crochet doll. I don't know if you can see that or not, but this is just a little black and white image of a crochet doll. So it's like taking a plastic face and arms and stuff and then you crochet the body, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of a cool little craft. So I've never done it and I don't know how I would have the patience to do it. Whoever does stuff like that has a lot of patience and way better eyesight than I do. But I thought it would be fun to kind of make a journal out of this because, I don't know, just a kind of an odd craft. So in this part right here, this is like a fabric pattern envelope, and then it's just kind of got the little envelope bottom down here, and I just folded it up. An old envelope a quilt piece. And then here's the other side of that pattern envelope. So I just like cut it in half and then put half on one side and then the other half on the other side. A little pocket here, some old sweater, some, this is a fabric remnant, like from a fabric sample book, and it's actually a pocket. More crochet dolls. These were kind of little fairy or flower crochet dolls. I thought those were super cute. Almost thought about going with like a fairy theme in this, but I ended up and didn't. I thought whoever got this journal might be able to pull that off, you know, put some fairy elements and stuff in here, because some of those dolls looked kind of fairy-ish, like those right there. More pockets. I'm having so much fun using up all of my fabric bits scraps. So in these books, these journals that I'm putting out this weekend, I have these quilt squares. They're they're not squares, but they're a quilt design, a quilt block, and so I've made pockets out of them in the journals. And then here's the back of that one. All right, so this is the Crochet Dolls Homebodies. This Homebodies, I just loved the colors. I loved the blue, green. This is some of my favorite old fabric. This is a piece of old fabric that I love. I did some black binding on this one because I thought the contrast would work really well. This is a feed sack. This was some trim I got at a thrift store, but I believe it's new. It's just that it, oh, I got string there. It's just, it was at a thrift store. Cool little button on the front. And again, I did the same thing where this is a book plate right here with some feed sack. This is some needle craft like fabric, and then so you could like stitch buttons if you wanted or do some stitches, and then the button is attached to the front. So this exact same setup. I left this blank back here, and then the same components. Now I have not filled the pockets of any of these journals, nor have I gone through and added like little embellishments. I'm gonna put little ties right here, so you're seeing like a bare bones journal. I will like fully deck it out before I send it to you. I kind of like that because then it's a surprise when you get it. This is some fold out wallpaper, and I did some practicing with some wallpaper. So I used some new wallpaper. Well, it's like it's in my stash, but it's wallpaper I hadn't used yet. And so I just wanted to try out and see what kind of art supplies would work on them. So here are 3 wallpaper samples that I've used in these journals. And here's what I did on the front. So paint worked, Sharpie worked. This is just a regular, let me see. It was this type of a felt tip pen. That was right there. This was a gel pen. This was a colored pencil. And then I know I'd been talking about it, but I was just like, well, I don't know if a glue stick would work. You'd have to try it. But so I went ahead and tried it. So glue stick, it actually did work, and I tried pulling it off today, and you can see I got some of it pulled off, but it wasn't, it's actually the paper itself is ripping. So the glue stick held, it's just the paper itself that when I pulled it, it came off. And then on the back, I did the same thing, Sharpie. This was the glue stick with some little tissue paper, gel pen, colored pencil. This was just a regular flare pen like this, and then a paint pen. And so, yeah, it held up pretty, I mean, yeah, held up really well. So there you go. I always like to test the wallpaper and see what it'll do, especially when I get different brands and different years of wallpaper. I think these wallpapers were early 2000s. This is just a little photo pocket. This is a pocket made from a pattern envelope, and I just stitched around it because it's really old. Some quilt book pages. Hello Kitty again. Some more design pages, wallpaper. So yeah, I'm really loving using up my fabric stash. It seems like I just keep pulling more and more fabric and throwing them into the journals, and I just love it. You should see my desk. It's like a huge mess. I just have a whole bunch of fabric scraps. Ooh, look at that. I have a whole bunch of fabric scraps that just like are in a huge pile. And as I'm sewing, I just grab different fabric packs or different fabric scraps like quilt fabric or vintage sheets, laces, just fabric that I've picked up at thrift stores. And I like to take my rotary cutter and just kind of chop through it and then just make small little bits. And then those small little bits are what I sew on to, oh, there's some vintage sheet with a tag. That's what I sew onto the paper then, is just those random bits. And I love it when they're torn and they have, you know, like the strings coming off of them. And then this is a fabric sample pocket. Okay, so this one, like I said, this one has 4 signatures, but it's just a little bit larger. I have 2 inside out journals this time. And for this quilt, I found a baby quilt. So it was much smaller. And I believe it was made from sheets, because when I looked at the quilt, it was all in blues and whites. It just looked like some sheet material that I have. So I think this was a quilt that was made from sheets. It seems, I don't know when it was made. It doesn't seem like it's, you know, 30 years old. I mean, maybe it was made 2000s, maybe it was made in the 90s. I don't know. But the inside is like a flannel and it's a butterfly, and it's a really thin quilt. So here's the front, and let me go ahead and tuck it in. I'll show you the whole thing. So here's the front, and I just put some different needlework and some scraps on here, a button. Here's the signatures. There are 5 with buttons. Here's the back. Just love those blues. And then here is the right hand spine. Okay, so this one is the Shy Little Kitten, and again, I have not filled any of the pockets, so I do that before I package them up. I do that, and I love that. But it's one of those things where I like just doing it like for all of my journals. I like just doing it all at one time, because that's when I just kind of start grabbing stuff and I get creative and I sew and I do this and I do that. And so I just kind of left all the pockets blank, and I'll fill them up a little bit later. So in the inside out journals, you know, I have the cover on the inside. So this is a pocket. And then the back cover is in the center here, and it's not a pocket. And the end paper on this book was prettier than the back. So I went ahead and did this green, and I love it, love it, love it. You could journal on it. So wallpaper, stationery, the original book pages, scrapbook paper, some craft book paper, ledger paper, more scrapbook paper, book pages, wallpaper. Aunt Vincie's trim and napkins has made its way into these journals again. Let's see, did I show? Yeah, I did. And this was an old little golden book, and I know it was old because it has black and white. So older golden books will have black and white pictures in addition to color pictures. And typical golden books run about 12 pages, but when they first came out, they had many more pages. So this was an old little golden book because it had a lot more than 12 pages. So somebody asked on Instagram, look at that illustration, if I would show my golden book collection sometime. So here's the thing with my golden books. I've been collecting golden books for over, oh my gosh, 25 years. So when I quit collecting porcelain dolls, I started collecting little golden books because they took up less space and they were cheaper. Okay, so this is a transparency that I just sewed into a pocket, and you could put all kinds of cool stuff in here. I've kind of got an idea of what I want to put in there when I send it to you, but you can always take it out and put in whatever you want. Okay, so the thing with my golden books is that I have so many golden books. Because like I said, I've been collecting for over 25 years. It started off with just my golden books that I had when I was a little kid, and then I just started to collect all of the titles I remembered when I was a little kid. Then I started to collect ones that I really loved. Oh, look at this. This is like some satin. Ones that were rare that I'd never even seen before. And there's a book, and it's upstairs, but there's a book that it was the Golden Book Guide, Collector's Golden Book Guide or something like that. Anyway, so I got this book, and what I would do is it listed all of the golden books up to like, oh my gosh, 1999, I think. And then every time I would get one, I would go and I would highlight it in this book, and it would talk about the books, and it would tell about how you find out, you know, how old the book is, and all this. Oh my gosh, it was just like, it was my Bible. I carried it around and I wrote in it, and it was almost, now I think about it, it was almost like it was a journal, because I would write in the margins and I would highlight it. So my goal was, I wanted to get every book that was listed in this Golden Book Collector's Guide, but I ended up and stopped doing that because I ran out of room and I ran out of money, and I just had a bunch of books that were sitting around doing nothing. So that is the Shy Little Kitten. So then my golden books just kind of sat for a while. So this is the other one. These are same except just a little bit different on the colors. So this is like oranges and browns, but the same quilt. Put some patches in here, 5 signatures. Again, with some buttons, did a little gold trim. This is just a hanky that I sewed on, some needlework like a doily. This is some of my favorite vintage sheet. There's, I have 2 pillowcases and a full flat sheet, and I love it, that brown. And then this book is called The Magic Next Door. This is like a 1960s, 1970s golden book, and you can totally tell by the illustrations, but it's really cool because it's just such a sweet little story about this little guy and his new little neighbor that moves in. So for this one, I put the pocket up at the top, and then here is the back cover, and then here, oh, I don't think I talked about this. This is the hanky pocket. There's a hanky pocket in that other one, and the cool thing about the hanky pocket is it's a double pocket. So there's a pocket this way, which I will fill, and then I also left this little side open, so there's a pocket this way, and I did the same thing in that other one. It's just a different color. Okay, so same setup. Make sure I'm in frame here. Same setup, so I'll walk you through the pages. So, okay, so then with my golden books, I had this huge stash. My husband had built me a shelf in this really cool house that we owned. It was a 1949 mid-century modern ranch, and we restored it. And anyway, best house ever in the world. I don't like to talk about it because it makes me very sad because I miss that house. But anyway, so my husband had built me a shelf. There was this little cubby, and oh, this is flannel fabric, and that's where I stored my golden books, and I also had them in a little chest, and just kind of, you know, they just sat there, and I would get them out and I would look at them, and you know, I would research them and read them and all kinds of stuff. But then when we moved to Kansas City, they all got boxed up, and so they sat in boxes for a really long time, and I finally just got tired of them sitting around. And this was when I was kind of making that transition from scrapbooking to journaling, and I just kept thinking there's got to be something I could do with my golden books. Here's that transparency pocket. Especially the ones that were not in the best of shape, because I couldn't afford like the really expensive ones. So all of mine were, you know, not perfect. They had, like ripped pages, and, you know, they were not going to be your first edition collector's editions. These were just ones where I just wanted them for the title or whatever. So I started looking at my stash of golden books, and I started weeding through them, and started with the ones that were in really bad shape, and that's how I started turning them into journals, because I figured, you know, a golden book that's torn apart and just kind of sitting in a box is doing no one any good, when it could be repurposed and put to good use. And I wasn't hurting them because this is a little pocket here with a peephole on this side. I wasn't hurting them because they were already in, you know, not very good shape. So that's how that all started. So where I'm going with this whole thing with golden books is I have a lot of golden books, like a lot. I have them in 2 rooms. That's how many golden books I have. And I've slowly been going through them. I filled up some little libraries last year. Little libraries are they're like little, they look like little birdhouses. I don't know if you guys have those where you are, but they'll be in different neighborhoods, and you just go and put little books in you can put adult books or kid books in the library, and then kids will just come, or people will just come, and they'll take out what they want, and then they'll put, you know, new books in. So it's little free little libraries. And so I had a ton of golden books. I went through and pulled out a whole bunch. And so my husband and I drove around Kansas City, like downtown and stuff, one day last summer, I think, or the summer before, and we just filled up the free little libraries with a bunch of golden books. I've taken a lot to Goodwill, and yeah, so I'm still kind of going through all of my little golden books. And so yes, I would like to show you my collection, but it's not in any order other than the ones that I have down here, and those are the ones that I'm using for journals. I still have a whole bunch upstairs. So yeah, if you'd be interested sometime, I would love to show you guys. I'd also like to, I can show you that collector's guide book, and maybe give you some hints, tips, and tricks on how to find out information about your golden books. If you were interested, just leave a comment down below and let me know, and that might be a possible future video. Okay, so the last ones, these are my little fabric storybooks, and it's the same setup that I've been doing. This one is the 3 Little Pigs, and the colors are like purples and blues. And then this one is Animals Mother Goose, and this was more of a 60s, 70s type of book. And so these are more retro colors. Love, love, love both of these. And like I said, these are squishy and they fit in your hands. They're just like the best little hand journal. So just to compare, here is the size of an inside out journal, and again, this one fits in your hand really well too, and it's super squishy. Like, you've got so much room to grow in this journal, but you can see the size difference. This one's much bigger and this one's much smaller. And so for these guys, I use the Whitman Telltale books or something along those lines. There's different manufacturers of those types of book, but they're all about the same size. So this one has some really 90s fabric, and I have so much of this fabric. Here's the cover on the back, little buttons, cover on the front, and then vintage sheet for the sash. Again, I have not filled the pockets, so this is a trim pocket that goes all the way from here to here, and then you've got a fabric pocket over here with a piece of wallpaper. Here's the right hand spine, and then here's the other spine. So I will walk you through this. Wallpaper pockets, stationery, book pages, so it'll be the original book pages, and then I add a few more from other books. So these are just some scraps of scrapbook paper I've sewn together, and I made a little pocket out of this one. This is some really nice, I don't think it's watercolor paper, but it's like sketchbook paper, scrapbook paper, wallpaper, and it's a fold out with a little pocket right here, vellum, and then a peephole on this side. And that's the first signature. Second signature follows the same as the first. So lots of different types of papers in here. Thicker papers, thinner papers, some white paper, old paper, new paper, writing paper, drawing paper, graph paper. This is 2 pieces of graph paper that were glued together and then I stitched around them, so it's a little bit thicker. Here's another one of those quilt blocks that I made into a little pocket and a peephole, so this one slides through from the side. These illustrations in this book are gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. Love the colors. At first I was like, ooh, this fabric, this 1990s fabric. I think I picked it up and put it down like 3 times before I ever decided to buy it and take it home with me. This is 2 pieces of tablet paper glued together and then stitched around, and then I made a flap. And then I got it home and I was like, okay, it's so ugly, I gotta use it, because that's usually when I know I need something, is when it is just so ugly. So this purple fabric, I just was like, or it's not even purple, it's like mauve. It's like totally 1990s. I was like, I gotta use this. So I found the perfect cover to match it, which was this blue right here, and then this was my binding thread, which I thought matched really well, and actually I love it. And so all the purples and the blues kind of carry throughout, and it doesn't, that mauve doesn't offend me anymore. I actually kind of like it. So this one is 3 little pigs, and then the last one is Animals Mother Goose. Again, it's squishy, it's soft, it's got lots of room, vintage sheet for the sash, buttons on the spine, and this is the fabric for, this is a vintage curtain. So it's not a sheet and it's not quilt fabric, it's just a curtain. And I love the retro colors. So again, pocket, pocket, and then a fabric pocket with a piece of wallpaper. Make sure I'm in frame here, and the same setup. This was my favorite illustration in this book. Look at that, isn't that the cutest? I don't even know that I would journal on this. I probably would just leave this page as like, just like it is. I would probably journal over here and then just leave this page, just because it is so stinking cute. All of these illustrations are so cute. This is another pocket that'll go in the side here with a peephole. Something about 1960s, 1970s illustrations I love. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Love it, love it, love it. The greens and the blues, and look at this cool little wallpaper. And so this is a pocket with vellum on the back, and it's a top-loading pocket. But those colors, those 1970s colors, oh, they have my heart, that is for sure. It's another little pocket. Look at this wallpaper, isn't that cool? And so I thought the sun and this moon would be so cool with, you know, like the nursery rhyme or Mother Goose type thing. Just kind of thought that would kind of all go together. It's a beautiful illustration. It's another little pocket. This is a feed sack, the peephole. Oh, look at that. Isn't that cute? I love it, love it, love it. Now I'm wishing I had another copy of this book. So this is a teeny tiny golden book, and so this is the page, and I just thought that little nighttime scene was so cute. So I sewed it onto that page. This is from a different book. Here's another one of those quilt blocks. And stationery and wrapping, or wallpaper. So this one is Animals in Mother Goose. All right, guys, so let's see here. 2 little fabric storybooks, 2 homebodies, and 2 inside out journals I will have in my Etsy shop on Sunday, July 15th at 9 a.m. Central Time, Kansas City, Missouri. Guys, I hope you are healthy. I hope you are happy. I hope you are cool. It is so hot here. It's so hot, like you walk outside and your face just melts off. You can't even go outside. It's so hot. And I hope you guys do something creative today. I have some process videos that I want to get loaded, and hopefully have some journals next weekend also. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all your love. Bye.